There's just something to be said about individually cut shingles. It just looks nicer than, a printed. I just, I love it. I think it looks so nice, but it is tedious to put together. Cut them out, all out, and stuff like that, little strips. It's a mess. So I used a Cricut to do that, and I created this cut file and just, drew it in Cricut, and it works. It gives me enough nice. Uh, it's great, but I'm like looking at this, I'm like, I could do better because like there's just so many wasted movements and just there's this spaghetti of leftovers on here. So I thought I'd do something a little bit different, and I made them like this, where we've got a common cut, and then it's just a lot of common cuts. So when we cut them, it's one cut all the way across instead of a whole bunch of individual cuts, right? And then I also have some individual randomness in here. And where I did that is a SVG file generator that will create a cut file that we need to import into our Cricut software, whatever software we're using for whatever tool we're using. I've got a couple parameters. We got the length, the really should be width. I'll probably have to rename some of these, like the length of the strip, right? How long it's going to cut, and we can adjust these, right? You can type in whatever number you want. The shingles per inch, so how many shingles across. So this is 4 shingles per inch, nice and easy. The shingle length, that's currently the length between the two of them because it's a joined strip. If you notice, I've got a little bit of a gap here, so I've got that tear. So that way this doesn't cut clean and risk getting peeled up and the machine eating it, right? That gap is controlled by this size. So if we update this, we can see, what that is. The number of rows, so that's the number of rows we have going to the bottom. And so we could add as many rows as we need. So if we have a certain piece of material that we want to cut, we can actually make the file just for the material that we want. And then the fun stuff is the percentage of jaggedness, right? That jaggedness is this up and down. So we can go, completely to 0, and there's no up and down jaggedness. And then we have this angled shingle percentage. So if you notice, I've got one that's got a slight angle. We can increase that angle, so we can make them more pronounced if we wanted to, or we can, decrease it significantly so we don't see much pronounced jaggedness at all. So it doesn't look right, but it just no longer looks perfect, right? A lot of this stuff just is too perfect. And then we could adjust the percentage of shingles that are jagged as well. So we could, increase that jagged, and you can type whatever you want in. If you wanted numbers, and it'll help better, right? So you can see we could put all the numbers in this way. We put all of them jagged, and we could get like really crazy adjustments with this. If you want, half of them jagged and half of them straight, you can do that. And the neat thing is we have a pattern of strips, and then the other side of that, when we cut it and flip it out, that's not going to match. So we're not getting this repeating pattern. And if you notice, every time I make an adjustment, the pattern resets itself and just re-randomizes. So that way, when you can do 3, 4, 5 files that we want to cut, and then we have no repeats in that at all, which I think is nice. It's a nice touch. And then you can export this SVG file, right? And then you bring it into your Cricut software. This one's the hand-drawn one, so it's all grouped and attached. And I drew one, then I copied it and made 2, and then I selected the 2 and I copied those and made 4. Selected the 4, copied and made 8, right? So that's how I made this file. So we can delete these. We go to upload to your usual Cricut, right? Upload file, and we can add a new file. And what you'll notice is I've actually typed in the size right in the file name, so we know what that file name is. So you get this file name. So the other thing to notice is when we import this, Cricut's gonna like squish it, and we'll need to resize it. That's part of why I have the file name in it. So you see how it's just came in on a stupid size. I asked for this to be 7 inches, so that's what I'll want, 7 inches. And now you have this ready to go. Now, if you don't like these tabs, you are more than welcome to go in and add a line and add a cut line right there, right? So you just go in and add that cut line to cut those out, so you don't have to worry about the dog ears. I like the dog ears myself because I've had my Cricut peel stuff off and eat. Parts of my project get jammed and stop, and then like it doesn't finish, and I've wasted a bunch of material. So that's why I like the dog ears here. Yeah, it's up to you. If you like them, you can leave them. If you don't, you can certainly cut them out, and then you can rotate this if you need to. However, whatever your normal Cricut capabilities are, right? So yeah, that's this cut file. And where we can get it, I'll link into the description. If you have any suggestions on how we can make this tool better, let me know. I think I need to clean up some of the language a little bit, some that's not quite obvious. But maybe having more gap between, make that adjustable. Maybe pulling in some different shapes so we can do, kind of the rounded shapes or something like that. We can potentially do that as well, although it won't cut as efficiently as this will. Well, this particular one is because it's got so many jagged edges, it's not going to be efficient. But like if you've got, just a straight cut, that's nice, even straight cut going all the way across. Even if we have a couple, at the jaggeds, that's this is still a nice long cut, so it's still pretty quick as far as the cutting is. But yeah, leave comments, suggestions, ideas in the comments below.